Alright, so ever since I did the belly up on the LJ, when I'm driving, and I did an SYE at the same time with a new rear drive shaft, anytime I'm driving and I hit 50 miles an hour-ish, I start to get a really bad vibration. Well, it's not too bad, but it wasn't there before, so something has changed since the belly up install. And I think it's the pinion angle on the drive shafts, and I say that because the Jeep has a 2-inch suspension lift. So from the pinion's point of view on the axle, the Jeep is lifted 2 inches. But the transfer case is lifted another 2 inches. So from the transfer case's point of view, the Jeep is lifted 4 inches. So the pinion angle is no longer pointing at the transfer case. It's pointing below it. And I think that's what's causing the vibrations when I get up to speed. So to solve that, I bought these. These are from RockJock, aka Currie. I will always know them as Currie, but they go by RockJock now. These are double adjustable rear upper control arms with Johnny joints on both ends. So I'm going to install these and make them like a 1/4 inch longer than the factory ones. I'll start there and see if I can, by lengthening the top control arms, it'll push that pinion angle up and maybe help with the vibration I'm having. I thought it was mainly the rear pinion angle that mattered, but now I'm looking at the front axle too, and the pinion angle on the front axle is really bad as well. Or maybe not really bad, but it's not what it should be. So I'm probably going to go ahead and order a set of double adjustables for the front upper as well and get that taken care of too. Alright, I'm going to try to swap these in one at a time. The one on this side, on the passenger side, looks pretty, the upper, the frame side looks pretty tight. The muffler on the LJ is huge, so I hope I can get that top bolt out without having to, drop the exhaust or something, but we'll see here. Alright, so we got a few things going on here. I'm going to start on this side, the driver's side, because there's nothing in the way. It's way easier to get to. And then I'll see what it takes, and then I'll work on the hard side. This brake line needs to come off. It's bolted on to the control arm right here. It took some effort, but it came out of there. Alright, that came out pretty easy. So the stock one measures 13 3/16. So I'm going to make this one, I'll do 13.5. 13.5 is just over a 1/4 inch more length, so let's do that. The silver nut, the silver jam nut, is left-hand thread, and the bronze nut is right-hand thread. That's how you remember on this one. So there's 13.25. Alright, that's right under 13.5, so I'm going to do that. And I'll set this one the same. Okay. So these are now the same length. I have them lightly locked together, locked in with the jam nuts. Man, these bolts are a super tight fit, way tighter than the factory ones. These are also SAE, not metric like the factory ones. Oh. Okay, I looked it up. I'm not the only person that's had to drill out the upper bolt holes on the frame for the rear uppers. So, unfortunately, I did not have a 7/16 drill bit in my toolbox. So, a really late night, 9:30 p.m. run to Home Depot, and I bought a Cobalt Milwaukee bit, $24. But you know what else they had that was $20? A 12-inch long 7/16 drill bit. It's not Cobalt, and it's made by DeWalt. But I'll be able to drill the hole from the frames, like the outside the frame side, so I won't have to work around the muffler to drill it out. So I'm gonna give this a shot. Okay, so right here there's a hole in the frame, and it goes directly through the frame out the other side to the upper control arm mount. Maybe it's a good thing that I struggled getting the bolt in, because I wouldn't have even thought to put the bolt through this way like you're supposed to. That way you can get to the grease fitting from outside the Jeep. So I'm going to send this drill bit right through there. Shouldn't take much. That literally took nothing. Oh God. Isn't it amazing that something that small and simple can make you just come to a complete stop? Finally. Okay. So the short drill bit on a right angle drill was the key for the back one, or the lower, you know, the axle one. I put the bolt this way, which won't be as convenient for the Zerk fitting, you know, like greasing it, but it'll keep that Zerk fitting away from the coil spring. So it'll be a little bit safer. And I would not have been able to put the bolt in anyway without removing the coil spring, which I am not in the mood to do. I have new brake lines that'll be going on soon, so I'm just going to leave this like it is for now. It's fine. Alright, let's do the passenger side. See how close that bolt is to the muffler? I can barely get my fingers in there. There's definitely no way I'll be able to get a tool on it. I can get a ratchet wrench on it maybe, but the bolt still has to come out. I think that's enough room. This muffler is enormous. Alright, you know what just occurred to me while I was sitting here fighting to get this bolt out? I'm not reusing this bolt, and the new bolt is coming in from the other side. So this is where the nut will go. So why haven't I just cut it out? junk. Can we take a moment and just appreciate how good the underside of this Jeep looks? This thing has 240,000 miles on it. And it looks like this. I think that's going to do it right there. It's about 12.9 degrees. So, lock down the jam nuts and torque these Johnny joints. Alright, I got the Jeep on axle stands held up by the axle so that the weight of the Jeep is on the suspension. I got the uppers adjusted to the length that I want. The pinion and drive shaft are right under 13 degrees. I think it's like 12.8 or 12.9. Got the jam nuts locked down. So I'm going to go around and torque everything to factory spec, the upper control arms. And then I'm going to hit everything with moly grease. Apparently it's really important that you use moly grease on Johnny joints, so that's what I'm going to use. It looks like they already have some in them, but I'll give them one pump just to make sure. I don't think it actually matters to torque a Johnny joint with the weight on the suspension, just because of the way the bushing works, but it's just a good habit to be in, I guess. I'm going to go to 55 foot-pounds. Okay, they're in. Let's go for a drive and see if it's any better. Okay, so the vibration is better. I'm gonna do the front uppers too. I'd say it's about 50% better. So I think if I do the front uppers, get that pinion angle corrected. For the front axle, I think it'll be pretty much dialed in. I might wait to do that until I swap in the axle and do my lift and do everything at once, just so I'm not redoing work, but we'll see. So these are gone, scrap pile. And this long drill bit was definitely the way to go. So I'll leave a link for this thing in the description. But up next, I'm gonna do some brakes.